I'll wait at the end of the street where the water reaches our ankles in the yellow striped rain boots I bought just for you. I'll wait for you on this corner by the old sandwich shop where the street lamp flickers with a worn-out bulb. I'll wait in the green-blue raincoat with flowers in my hand, the purple ones you used to put in my hair. I'll wait in the puddle as it fills past my boots and tiny boats made of red paper swim by. With my white bike leaning against the tree, the handlebars rusted. The stickers collected over the years faded to pieces on the blacktop. I'll wait by the rock you tripped over when you skinned your knee and I tried not to laugh. I'll wait with your umbrella, the heavy orange one that you gave me when it rained and you wouldn't walk me home the night the football game was on and you couldn't find your shoes. I'll wait with a letter in my pocket and a smile on my face.
Tall, lanky frame and silver hair with your glasses that define your character. There's that hippie vibe, but no tie-dyed clothes or flower crowns. Fluid and poetic meter, making a statement through your works and your students. You're a unique soul, astounded with how the world evolves. It's wild.
We are paper thin, just like paper wolves. And their sly, sly grins are graphite amidst our wool. Sharp, sharp fangs shear us to the bone, and red, red ink hangs on the white unknown. The eraser is in between their paws. They plan to erase all of our flaws. But maybe if we look in between the lines, we could reach out of our flat, flat confines. We are paper thin, just like the paper wolves. But maybe we should start to tear this paper apart.
On April 18th, 2018, pandemonium broke in Nicaragua. This day changed my life forever in ways I would have never imagined. My daily routine was over. My brain was at 5%. I dragged my feet across the pavement. Something felt out of place. 2 lines of steel and tire had come to a complete stop, causing gridlock. I hurried over to the main gate to try and find out what was happening. Suddenly, a man came rushing and shrieking down the street. Blood was running down his chest through the gash in his torn-up shirt. He screamed continuously, "They're attacking us, we need help." Dictator Daniel Ortega, our president, had announced reforms to Social Security that included an increase in contributions from the people and a decrease in future pensions. 2 blocks away from the university, a protest broke out in one of the busiest roads in the capital. The university was on lockdown. I was terrified. From this day on, things would start to change little by little or all at once, with no certainty of what would happen next. However, the events that followed the next few days in Nicaragua would change the way I felt about my country. Once things calmed down, the back road was cleared, so the school was evacuated. As I headed home, I played on repeat the images of what had just happened. I went into the house to find my parents sitting in the living room paying close attention to the news. The riots continued. The government was brutally attacking protesters. It was a roaring fire in the streets. The pro-government mobs adding to the wildfire of violence. I was glued to the sofa that night, waiting for answers on what would happen the next morning. I steadied my breath, trying to calm down the panic I felt. No one had an update from the university, and they expected us to show up to class in the morning. Finally, sometime around midnight, I received an email from the head of the medicine department letting us know that classes were canceled until further notice. The next morning, a countrywide revolt had begun. Riots began in nearby cities. Barricades were being built in hopes that it would help contain the fire that was building up within the country. Independent news on national television was being censored, leaving us with no information about what was going on in the streets. Several universities were being attacked with students trapped inside. I turned to social media for information, where national news would stream via Facebook and Twitter. Drowning in what felt like the choking smoke of a fire, I couldn't do anything about it. We sat, receiving text messages filled with news. They're taking them, and the students need our help, and #SOS Nicaragua. Pictures of wounded teenagers hurt by anti-riot police were being scattered. The ones who we had entrusted to keep the country safe were attacking people with tear gas and rubber bullets, while the president had ordered public hospitals not to aid the fallen. Later that day, while my mother picked up my siblings from school, I headed down to a nearby church where aid was being provided to the brave. Ambulances and cars were bringing them in, drenched in dark red blood, screaming in pain, their faces covered with damp cloths to help lower the effect of tear gas all over their bodies. We were there providing as much help as we could, treating small wounds and broadcasting what was happening so that the Nicaraguan population was aware of how uncontrollable the fire had grown. We received an alarming text message. "Get out of the church. They spotted the Sandinistas heading over there, ready to burn it down." The screaming began. "Move! Move! Get out and take whoever you can." We evacuated just in time, and we were able to transfer the injured to nearby houses, where people took them in and helped us out. I needed to go back home because my mother kept sending me messages. I knew she was going crazy with just the thought of me not being under her roof. Fear became a tangible, living force that crept over me like a hungry beast. Clara, my friend, grabbed my hand and screamed in horror. "Get in my car. I'm getting us out of here." We avoided the main roads, yet still saw police cars speeding toward the riots. They wanted to extinguish the patriotic flame that had started to grow inside every citizen. Little did they know, they were giving it a reason to grow stronger. The frustration building up inside of me was ready to make a volcanic eruption. A fight for freedom had begun, and we were not going to be put down by the same dictator again. The moment I got home, my dad sat down next to me, and with tears running down his cheeks, he said, "Please don't leave the house again, at least not in the next few days, not until all of this is over. I can't lose a child over this mess."
Hunted by Jesse Dubose. The hydraulic locks that clamped down onto the submarine released as its engine hummed. The submarine, guided by a set of high-powered floodlights, lurched forward and began to cut a path through the darkness that lingered just out of reach. The depth gauge on the dashboard read 9,252 feet below the surface. Nothing swam out of the darkness to devour them as soon as they lost sight of the facility. An irrational fear before, perhaps, but when Solomon played a recording of what Gabriel could only describe as a roar, that fear became something tangible. Through the night, he swore he could hear the monstrous sound screaming through his room's walls. What created it, and could it see through the porthole? He imagined turning over to see a monstrous, unblinking eye before it rapidly disappeared into the dark, only to return moments later as a pair of jaws with an uncountable number of teeth. Those teeth would rip his room from the facility, swallowing it whole, with Gabriel still curled up in what remains of his bed. He had almost wanted something to be out there. Almost. The sonar scan indicates a ridge that wasn't there a few days ago, Solomon said through the speakers. Solomon, the chief engineer, chose to stay behind, but wouldn't miss a chance to send out one of his drones. The small, torpedo-shaped robot kept pace with the submarine as it carved through the darkness. "It's easy to overlook, but I have a sinking suspicion that it's a whale fall." "Really bad choice of words," Daisy, the submarine's pilot, said. She had her hands on the controls, but she was shaking her head. Gabriel noticed her blonde ponytail sway as she did. "It's small if it is one," Solomon ignored her. "I'm willing to bet that it's just a juvenile." Gabriel smiled. A dead whale was a haven for creatures of the deep, especially invertebrates, which may have never even been seen before. "Coming into range now," Lucas, the lead scientist of the team, said, about 20 minutes in. Gabriel stood and walked behind where Daisy was sitting to get a better look out of the main viewing port. She looked up at him, but he was fixated on the wriggling mass of life that was coming into the light. "Hagfish," he said. The snake-like creatures swarmed the carcass, digging between the sinews of the grayed remains. It made it seem like the whale's skin was crawling. As the submarine approached, they slithered out from the holes they had created and moved their head up to the light. The light was hard to come by in the deep, so they fixated on the approaching submarine before returning to the feast. The head of the dead animal loomed before the submarine. and Gabriel knew at once that it was a sperm whale. He guessed it was as large as a school bus, but he wouldn't know for sure until he saw more than just the head of the whale. Dozens of red, spider-like crabs roamed across the head, picking at the exposed flesh that the larger organisms, like the hagfish, tore free. One dug its claw into the eye of the whale, pinching at the gray, gelatinous spot and eating whatever jelly or meat came out. "Look," Daisy pointed to the jaw of the whale. The slender, lower jaw was broken at a 90-degree angle, slack against the ocean floor in permanent disbelief. "What could do that?" Daisy asked as she rubbed the back of her neck. "A giant squid," Gabriel answered before anyone else could. "It's not out of the realm of possibility," Lucas said. "Daisy, move in closer to the jaw." A sleeper shark swam over the carcass. It was the size of Gabriel, and its eyes glowed blue from the light of the submarine. It stopped when it found a location it seemed to like, sinking its teeth into the meat above the jaw. It twisted violently, churning the water around it. "Right there. Wait, is that a tooth?" Lucas said and pointed. Pale and bony and nearly 2 feet in length, it protruded from the base of the lower jaw. "See if you can get it with the claw," Lucas said. Daisy nodded and worked the controls. The metallic arm stretched from below the submarine and latched on the object. Daisy dislodged it from the whale, and a pair of hagfish swam into the hole that it left.